This was a PR nightmare, and this is something that they needed to stop head on. I mean, look, they're going into their biggest product cycle potentially ever. And this was, the longer this lingered, with 350 million consumers potentially upgrading over the next year, we believe that's going to be probably 60% of that will upgrade. They needed to basically address this head on. This is something, especially as iPhone 10, 8, 8 Plus, they're going to a pivotal year, and this was the last thing they needed, and I think it's something they did a smart move here, getting ahead of this.
And when you say they needed it, you think that this was so off-putting, so offensive to certain people that they wouldn't go back into an Apple store and get the 10 or get the 8?
I think it's more about the timing. I mean, you have right now what I would view as the biggest potential window of opportunity that they've ever had. I mean, again, 350 million consumers, and you look at China, US, Europe. They needed, for those what I'll call on-the-fence consumers that were thinking about upgrading, you know, we were doing from surveys, and we definitely saw that this was something that made consumers think they weren't going to necessarily switch, but it's something where the last thing they needed right here was a deterrent to get them to upgrade. So this was something that it was easy to do. They needed to do it, and I think now they kind of move into 2018 with a little tailwind. As we expect, significant upgrades continued in March and June on iPhone 10.
Do you think there is a misunderstanding about this? Because I've actually read the material, and when you get deep in it and try to understand what they were doing, it's not clear they were really trying to slow the whole thing down. It's clear that they wanted to make sure it didn't shut off, which is different than what we've all been talking about around the table, which is as you upgrade your operating system over time, by default, if you have a lesser processor and an operating system that demands more processing, it's going to be slower.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, I think there was a bit of a misunderstanding, and that's why they needed to address this with a statement. Look, I do think if you look at it just like, you know, you talk about an iPhone 6 and the Smithsonian, I mean, there is, just based on the power in the chip, a need to continue to slow that down. So I think they needed to hit this, and it just speaks to why consumers are continuing to upgrade, even with a 4-digit price tag on iPhone 10. We think December is better than expectations, high ASP, and they have momentum going 2018. And this has probably been one of the years that they defied the skeptics more than any others in 2017.
So what do you make of all these reports? You know, you get these channel checks and this and that from people out there who say, you know, people are not buying these phones as much as we thought, that they're not going to produce as many phones. Well, you saw those headlines over probably the past 7 days. And
yeah, I mean, we think about 3 to 5 million iPhone units got pulled from March into December. So I think part of that was a supply-demand issue. I do think there have been some soft spots in China, but this is not something that overly alarms us. We still think overall this is a super cycle product release that exceeds iPhone 6. And then the next step in 2018, where they do that $200 billion of repatriated cash, is it buybacks, dividends, or do they finally make a significant acquisition on the content side?
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.